Hey folks, we're going to talk about a really important tool in the metal shop today. I would say that the angle grinder is one of the most used tools in the metal shop. In terms of minutes being used, it probably outshines the welding machine 2 to 1 for sure. You can see we've got 3 red ones. These are Milwaukee's, and we have a yellow one. This is a DeWalt. The Milwaukee's have a paddle. This switch comes forward, and then you have to hold the paddle down. So if you drop the machine, it's going to turn off. The DeWalt has a thumb switch. It's pretty sensitive, it pops off easily, but if you drop it, it's still going to run. These are called angle grinders because they're all meant to be run at an angle, somewhere between up to 45 degrees, right? They're really not meant to be run flat. The other thing about an angle grinder is that you want to run this machine from 12 noon until 4 in the afternoon. And I mean that if you're looking at this like a clock, you want the tool to be engaged on this right side. When it's twisting clockwise, if it gets caught on the 12 to 4 o'clock side, it's going to pull the tool away from you. If you're using it on this leading edge, 5:30 until midnight, if it gets caught, it's going to come back at you, right? So you'll notice all of these guards have been set so you can use the right side of the tool. Don't change the guards, right? If there's one of these machines doesn't have a guard on it, let me know immediately, and we'll get a guard, we'll find the guard, we'll decommission the machine. It's just too dangerous. So we've got a few different wheels here, and I'll go from roughest to finest. This we call the stone. It's carborundum. It's a bunch of abrasives that are sort of bound together with a glue. It removes the most amount of material the fastest. It's taking the biggest bite, but it also leaves a surface that's the roughest looking surface. Got a lot of weld to get rid of, definitely go for the stone. This is an 80 grit flap wheel. You can see it's layers and layers of sandpaper on top of each other. When I started metalworking, we didn't have flap wheels. We had grinding discs, abrasive discs. They wore out really fast. So this thing removes material quickly. Again, it's going to be up to 45 degrees, probably down to about 30. Something like there to there. Only using the 4 o'clock to noon. This one, it removes material fast, but it also gives a nice finish, right? And this is an 80 grit. This is a 120 grit. So the higher the grit, the more number of scratches per square inch, thereby meaning 120 grit is going to be a finer finish than 80 grit. The last one we've got here is the cup wheel. This is meant to be used at an angle too. Do not run this one flat. The guard doesn't really keep it from running flat because it's not tall enough. But 45 degrees again, and we really want to be mindful. This can get stuck. If you have some open spaces, you really have to be careful with this one. In fact, oftentimes I would say just use a wire brush by hand. All right. And notice when I'm done using these, I'm flipping all of them onto the back. They've got a little resting pad here. They don't want to rest on the wheel. If you were just like to flop this one down on the wheel, you could crack the wheel, you wouldn't really know it, start grinding and the piece could come apart, right? So let's let them rest like that. Of vital importance when using a grinder, you are never going to grind while holding a piece yourself, right? You're always going to clamp the piece down. This one, I could probably get a clamp on either one of these, but it's going to be easier nice and secure. So this is this is the first project we work on in advanced metal. It's a cube. It's going to be even on all sides. Carla Acosta made this one in 2023, and it's one of the best ones in class. We have some small welds up here at the top, but the other spots have all been cleaned up. So we want to remove just the surface weld, but we don't want to remove too much. So I'm thinking this is going to be perfect for the flap wheel. Right, nice and securely clamped down. I'm going to come over at 45 degrees, and I'm going to move my tool back and forth. When you're using a grinder, don't stay in one spot, right? You want to keep it moving back and forth. I twisted this piece for my figure in motion, and it's got all that mill scale, right? The layers of carbon that have burned off when we heated it up. I want to clean it up and make it look slick. So I'm thinking This is going to be wire wheel. So last one, the welding table. Let's go check it out. You know, we do the majority of the fabrication and welding in class on these on this MIG table, and you can see it's covered with spatter and some weld, and it keeps us from getting pieces flat on the table. So I want to clean this table up. I'm going to go after it with the stone. I'm going to keep it at a 45, and I'm going to make big, long passing travels. The table's bolted to the wall, so there's no need to clamp anything down because we're secure. So let's go clamp stuff down outside. We'll do a little bit of grinding. All right, Cougars, we're set up out here, and I thought maybe we'll first talk about PPE. I'm talking so loud right now because I have my ear protection in, right? It's a noisy operation. I've got my safety glasses in so I can see, but I want to protect my face. Got my face shield. One thing, this is a spot where if you're wearing a hoodie, make sure you tuck your hoodie strings in, right? You got long hair, tie your hair back. So I got one of these benders that we were using in shop, and I'm just going to run the stone on it. I'll run the wire or the flap wheel and then the wire wheel, and we'll get a good example of the differences. Be mindful of where the sparks are going. All right, the stone removes material fast. You saw that I was moving it back and forth, not staying in one place, mindful of where it's shooting the sparks. But if you look at the surface, it's a pretty rough surface, right? We really can see the grain and the bite that the metal, that the stone was taken out of the metal. Flap wheel. So you can really see the difference, right? This is 80, or I'm sorry, this one's 120 scratches per square inch. This stone is probably something like 38, 36. Let's take a look at the wire wheel. So you can see with the wire wheel, we're really just taking off the rust and a little bit of the mill scale. So let's think about what we want to, the material we want to take off, what's going to be the best choice of grinder. For Carla's cube, this piece looks great. It's finished really nicely. I'm going to say we're going to remove this weld using the flap wheel. You got to keep the machine moving or you can't see where you're grinding, right? You got to move it back and forth and plug it in too. So you can see, remove the big part of the weld, but we left the part that's attaching the material nice and clean, nice finish. This is one of the practice pieces that we use when we're starting our fish, and a lot of people want to grind on their fish, their first welding project. Some of the welds don't look great, but this kind of shape can be hazardous, right? So we're going to be really careful to keep our piece not going inside. We're going to keep it at the angle, but we're going to keep it flat on top. Don't try to get inside, because that's where the piece will catch. You can see we got in there and removed some of the weld, but we stayed at an angle, but not trying to get inside, right? We're going to keep it on the surface. The other thing I would say is that you're removing the weld, right? That's what's holding the pieces together. So if you grind it too far, the piece will come apart. All right, let's clean up this this piece I twisted with the wire wheel. I think it might look really nice when you get that mill scale off of there. A little bit of a tricky one to clamp down. And this one I'll work on one part and then I'll re-clamp it, right? Ooh, that's a pretty nice finish. All right, let's go get some of the spatter off of the welding table, and we're going to use the stone to remove the most amount of material as quickly as we can. All right, so here's our welding table, and you can see there's lots of spatter out here. You know, when we're MIG welding, we're throwing little bits of metal all over the place, and there's a few spots where people just straight up put some weld on the table, and it's not an even surface anymore. So it's building stuff here can be a little more challenging. So we're going to remove a lot of material quickly. I'm going to opt for the stone. I'll be making big movements back and forth. This is definitely a face shield one because these little spatter pieces, they pop off pretty easily and they're going to go flying all over the place. So let's be really mindful of that. So you can see pretty quickly we removed a lot of material. Not all of it, but I'll get back in there. And, you know, if you're feeling particular, you can go in and clean it up a little bit with a flap wheel. All right, Cougar metal workers, remember, the grind is real, and so is the PPE. We'll see you next time.